We're live. Thank you for coming to another episode of our live stream. And I'd like to say good afternoon, good evening, or good night. Good afternoon, good evening, or good night. Um, our topic for today is I'll show you how to set up a small solar panel system. I have been asked many questions, or I've seen some questions some of the times on the vlogs that I do, and especially the two that I did about solar panel, this if the size matters or if you can mix them, those that are of different or varied sizes. I have been asked some very important questions. Now, the small solar system that we will set up today is not one that will run your entire home. And please don't think it can. Some persons get the impression that it can. It can't run your entire home. It's for small things. Possibly you have a pond, or you have some lighting that you want to set up um, in a certain area. And to think of it too, it would be especially useful if you have not only the water feature, but just think of it if you lose electricity. If you do lose electricity, then you could probably set up something like this. There is a simple way of setting it up, and it has multiple uses. Now, let's go through what it is that you would really need to set it up. And one of the things that you really need to set it up is the system that we're setting up today is a off-grid system, a small off-grid system. And the small off-grid system, for those who may not have the information, is a system that doesn't need to be attached to your power provider, your electricity power provider. It runs independent, and it is charged by the sun itself. Or you can use a windmill, whichever is easier. But I think the panels are easier for some persons to get, especially the small panels. It will be easier for you to get. Now, let's look at what it is that you'll need to set up this small solar system. And remember, I'm telling you that the small system that you set up is really for some small things that you have that you may not want to have run on the power provider. Now, you'll need a battery, and from time and time again, I've been telling you that the batteries that I use are car batteries. However, the car batteries are used car batteries. They're not new, they are used. So the used car batteries that you would use would be ones that, sometimes it may be impossible to start the cars. These are the batteries that you would really take from the persons and use them for other uses. It does get bad after a while where it is of no more use to you, and probably at that point you can probably sell it. Persons in some countries do buy them. I think they buy them and recycle them. However, you're going to use it until it is completed because you have this small project going. So you need a used car battery. You also need a, an inverter. Now, the inverter will be dependent on the size of the thing that you're trying to power up. Now, sometimes you can bypass that inverter depending on what you're using. and I'll explain that to you. So you may not need the inverter, and the reason why you would really need the inverter is if you're going to plug 110 in that whatever it is that you have plugging in, it's a 110. However, if it is requiring 12 or 24 volts, then you don't need to use the inverter, because the inverter is really for AC current. Remember, we spoke about AC current from time to time on our vlogs, and I explained in depth as to what it is. You'll also need what they call a charge controller. Remember, I tell you that we're going to set up an off-grid system. So you'll need a charge controller. Now, the charge controller, I tend to buy the 10 amp charge controller. And this one, let me see if I can show you. This is it. The solar charge controller. This is the one that I tend to buy. And I use these really to power my pond or my fountain that I want to be operating for 24 hours of the day. This is what I use. I don't use the inverter at that point when I'm powering the pond or the fountain. This is what I use to control things. Now, the reason why I do like this charge controller, I'm not sure if you can see here, two USB outlets. And the reason why I do like this is I can use this charge controller if I attach it to my batteries and a solar panel. I can use it to charge my phone. Now, just imagine if we have a hurricane and there's no power. My phones can be charged, and it can be charged from the sun. I may not use it. Hi, Storm Chaser. I may not use it because I have a solar power bank. But for those who may not have a solar power bank and you have already set up a small enough off-grid system at home for your little ponds or your fountains or whatever it is that you may think that you need to run for 24 hours, 7 days a week, you can use this to charge your phone. So you need, once again, you need the batteries, you need the inverter. Remember, it's an off-grid, and you need charge controller, and most importantly, you need something that will keep this battery charged. Now, when these batteries are inside the car has what is known as an alternator to keep it charged. If it is not, if the alternator is bad and it's not being able to charge this battery when it's inside the car, then your car won't be able to start. So in order to keep this battery charged, hi Akira, thank you for coming to the live. In order to keep this battery charged, then you'll need a panel. And the panel will be varied sizes. Now this is a small panel. This panel was one that I took to show you, and this was a panel that really runs my what's it called? My drip irrigation. You see how small it is? This is a panel that runs a drip irrigation. You can even set it up to run a drip irrigation system for the solar part of it. Now, the thing about these panels are they will come with wires. And even the bigger panels that run the home, thank you for coming, Motorola King, they come with wires. This one has an adaptation. It already comes with an adaptation where I just plug it on. However, there are some of them that comes with the wires that can be separated, where one goes to the red, one goes to the black, the positive and negative. So it will depend on the type of panel that you get or you purchase for whatever system that you're planning to run. Now, back to the charge controller. If you look on the charge controller itself, it has six areas, and these 6 areas operate like this. Now you have each section, it comes in twos really. So you have this tool for red and black wire, another tool for the red and black, and another tool for the red and black. And with this type of power, it really uses the positive and negative side of it. Now, one of them, I'm not sure if you can see it, but I'm looking on it. These two right here, it has a panel right there. These things come very user friendly, where it comes with, if you just look on it, you can tell where goes where. So for these two, it has a little panel on it to show you that whatever you're attaching there, you're going to put your solar panel right in there, red and black. Because the section that this would come from, it has a raw outlet that has that red and black connection. So you would insert here, and it has little screws. You see in these holes? There are little screws there to tighten the red and black wire that you would put on it. For the other two, it has the battery sign. So for these two middle ones, you would put the red and black wire there for your batteries. And there's a reason for all of this. And for the other two, they show you that it really has the indication of a light bulb. And for that, where the indication of the light bulb is, it's really showing you that whatever it is that you need to power up, be it your light bulb or your pump for your solar, um, for your fountain or the pond, or even the drip irrigation, that's what you would put at the last two. And then again, we're going back again to the red and black, where we have it, probably because you can't see it, it has the positive and negative sign. So you really can't misplace with this. As a matter of fact, majority of the times you really can't go wrong if you follow the instructions on even the batteries itself, because they um Storm Chaser say, oh, Storm Chaser is saying yes, and he's seeing right. The batteries itself comes with that red and black sign, the positive and the negative. And one of the ways that you can remember is that the black is negative and the red is positive. So it shows you the sign. The only thing that you need to remember is which color is the plus and which color is the minus. That's a really thing that you need to remember. And it goes to show as well that if you remember just that part of it, you really can't go wrong. Even when the you're using the multimeter tester, it comes with, and I'll show you the multimeter tester. From time to time, I've showed you that as well. It comes with the red and black connection, so you really can't go wrong with it. As a matter of fact, I shouldn't say that. You really shouldn't go wrong with it, because they make sure that the leads, and these two things are called leads, they make sure that the leads come in not various colors of your choice, because some persons tend to have issues with burning these poor things up. And the reason why they do burn it up is because they can't remember where which one is plus, which one is minus. I'm not seeing it on this. I'm not seeing it on, yes, it's on this, strangely. It's on this. I'm not sure if you can see down here. You see that plus and see the minus there? And these are the things that I've been telling you that you really can't go wrong with once you look and follow instructions. Majority of the times, the problem is we really don't look carefully, or we really don't read carefully. If we do that, we really can't go wrong. You really can't go wrong, because I didn't even realize that the multimeter showed you. And I guess it would be um, essential and necessary for them to show you, so that you don't put the black where the red should be, or the red where the black should be. So, it works. It really do works. All right, so you have the red and black, and for the multimeter, there, one of the thing with setting up your system is you need to make sure that the battery that you use is good, or it is pushing the amount of volts that you want. Now, this battery in itself was taken from a car. It was no longer able to start that car. However, from time to time, you'll find that the batteries are able to do what you want it to do. Just like how you would have a clock that uses the AA batteries, and the clock that you have, you decide that you're going to put that battery in, and you put the battery in, and one day when you wake up, when you look, the time stands still. It is stuck at probably say 12 o'clock, and the hands are not moving, or the hands of the clock, one that I think it's a second hand or the minute hand, just keep flicking, flicking, flicking. So then you decide, no, you realize that, hey, the battery might be dead, because they do go bad from time to time. However, when you take out that battery, you put it down, and you replace it with a new battery. What I tend to do sometimes is I don't throw away that battery. I may need it for, especially nowadays, batteries are can be a tad bit expensive, especially if you're buying the alkaline batteries. So if it's an alkaline battery and it goes bad in the, that goes bad, because batteries do go bad. So if it's an alkaline battery and the clock should die, then I would put it down to work in my remote control. And while it might not be able to power that clock, it may be able to power your remote control for the television or the component set, depending on what the remote is. But it will be able to run it. I've seen that happen. So it's just like the ones that the batteries that are in the car. No, this battery was not able to power the car, and I tend to take them because I figured that it may be able to run whatever little system that I may have that want to be run. So with this one, we're going to just test it. Once again, I'm going to show you on the multimeter tester, um, where you put where you turn the dial to. Now, all right, let me put it back in the off position. It's off, and if you notice, it doesn't have any numbers going out along the screen right here. Then I turn it, and this is the DC side now, and I turn it to 20. Not sure if you can see the 20 right there. And there's a reason why I put it at 20. You have 220, 200, 600. You have some multimeter tester that goes up higher than this. However, this little one stops over on the DC side at 600. and on the AC side it stops at 600 too. All right, now the reason why I put it at 20 is because I couldn't put it at the 2 because I know from the get-go that my battery here is a 12-volt battery. I don't have a truck for them to put 24 volts in there. Hi, thanks for coming to the live. Surprise. Right, so I know from the get-go that my battery is a 12-volt battery. I couldn't put it at the 2 because it would be too low to even give me a reading. So I put it at the 20 where I know that it will fall somewhere there, right? I know it's not a 24-volt battery, it's a 12-volt. So then now, remember I told you that the black is negative, and over on this side, right, over on this side, I have a minus sign near to the lead right here. This multimeter tester, the leads are a bit shorter than the one that I used to use. However, let's see. Right. Now, I put in one lead, the black lead, which is the negative, and as you can see, I get nothing. It's still at 0. And it's not saying that my battery is 0 volt. That's not what it is saying. All right. Now I stick my, right. I stick my red lead in on the positive side, and the reading, I'm not sure if you can see it, is 12.96. It's going up sometimes to see you at 2. Okay. It's going up sometimes to 9.7. Right. It's going up sometimes. Right. If you notice, it's flickering. So it's a little over. You'll get that sometimes on the batteries whenever you have them. But can I tell you, even though it's giving this reading, it's really too weak to start the car. And it's just like the analogy that I gave you that um that the battery maybe too weak to operate your clock, however, it might be strong enough to just operate your remote control. I've seen that, and especially for the air fresheners that I have sometimes, I've seen it happen where it may be too weak to operate the air fresheners, but it can operate something else, right? Now, now that you know that your battery is okay, and I think yesterday I had a vlog. A vlog came out yesterday that introduced you to the pen tester. Now, these multimeter tester, sometimes it depends on where you buy them. They can range from probably say $5 to a high of probably 20 something dollars on some sites. However, if you buy them in this country, it can be a tidy sum. It can be a tidy sum. Now, then yesterday, I introduced you to a pen tester. And the pen tester is really useful if you really don't want to have to bother with this. And I would suggest that if you have a problem using this, or you find that some of the times you're losing them by it burning up on you, your cross polarity, then I would suggest that you get the pen tester. Now, the pen tester, ironically, doesn't have that indication as to red and black. It doesn't. Now, this one comes with the black wire, and the alligator clip is all black. But I've seen them online where you can get the red wire, and the alligator clip has the red indication. I have read online that the manufacturers made it that if you even cross polarity, it will not burn up. However, since getting this one, I haven't taken that chance. I really don't want to take that chance with it. I tend to stick with the colors and the colors, what the colors represent, and the positive and negative. I stick with it. Now, because I've been preaching and telling you that black the black wires are really the negative side of it, then I'm going to stick with that. And this I was telling you is my negative. Now, if you notice, I clipped it on my negative and nothing happens. There's no light there. Just like when we put the black lead on the battery itself, nothing happened. Now, if we should touch it, and I'm going to touch and by the way, this thing here, very sharp, it's actually called a probe. Now I'm going to use a probe to touch the positive side. And let's see, you're going to probably see a light right here. The figure, it is actually a number, and the number that comes up there should actually be the same as the one that we got from the multimeter tester. I'm just turning it off. From the multimeter tester that we got. So let's put it to you and see. And this says, wow, this actually rounds it up. This says 12.8. I'm not sure if you can see it, but it does light up. Notice when I take it off, no more light, even though this alligator clip is on the negative side, it doesn't light up. So this is another way you can use to test your batteries. And especially if you're fearful of burning them up, you can go this route. Storm Chaser is saying, reversing the lead on the meter. What happened to the meter? You mean the multimeter? Is that what you're saying, asking Storm? Yes. It Storm, it will fry. I remember someone came on the live a couple months ago, and he said that he has lost quite a number of multimeter this way. It will fry. It will be of no use to you after that. It will be done. So that is why I'm saying that persons like those Storm should really purchase the pen tester, where they really can't go wrong with it. It's a safer bet. However, the one that they are buying, I would suggest that they read up on it. Just read it to make sure that if you cross polarity, you will still have a pen tester. But I don't practice, even if this one can do it, I really wouldn't encourage you to cross polarity, because you don't want to forget. Sometimes a little reinforcement of something is good. So if you continue to reinforce the fact that the black is negative or the red is positive, or the black is a plus and the black is a minus, sorry, and the red is a plus. If you continue reinforcing that in your head, then one day, even if you should graduate to the multimeter tester, you can't go wrong. Understand? You can't go wrong. So it will work for you. So Now that we have tested the battery, we see where, all right, this thing is working. So we do have the strength in our batteries. Now this is how you really set up a off-grid system. And I'll tell you, the, remember I told you that this charge controller has 6 ports. Under here, each one, the top right here is the section to the bottom of it right here is where you insert your wires. And right at the top here, it really tells you the wires for what you would insert there. So if you're setting it up, the first two is for your panels. Now you attach the panel, and the panel will come with cords. The panel will come with cord, not this one, because this has another outlet right here. So the panel will come with cord that you can attach here, right? And when you attach it there, then you just push them in. This one says what goes where. This one says you put the positive first. So you put in your positive wire here and you tighten it here. It has a screw. So when you tighten it, it comes up right. If you look there, I just tightened that. I'm gonna show you. I just tightened this one, and if you look right here, it looks like it's closed off, while the rest look like it's open. So when you insert the wire there, that's where you would just tighten it for it to stay in place. Then you put the black wire, and you tighten. I'm not sure if you're seeing it move up. I'm going to tighten right. If you look, it's moving up. So I'm tightening. Notice these two are closed off. See that silver thing, or it's solid. If you look at the other section, you'll see some space right there. Right? So once you put the wires in, and you should tighten it, then what will happen is it will close it off. And this first two is for the panels. So you now affix your panels. Then now you go to the section that has the batteries. Now this battery, ironically, already have cords on it. So what you would do, if you notice it has red and black, so you would put the red at this section, this one, because it has a positive there. Let me see if I can show you. Right, see there? See, you see the panel sign? Look at it. You see the panel sign? You see the plus and negative? You see the battery sign? You see the plus and the negative? And the thing that looks like a light bulb, it has a plus and a negative. So you affix it according to how this state that it should be fixed. Now, when you affix it like that, my suggestion to you is make sure that this, because you're going to have it on the outside, this is secured from the detriments of that is in the air. So you don't want any water to catch it. You don't want any rain. You don't want any sun to damage it. So the best thing to do is to secure it in an area where you know it doesn't need or it's not exposed to the elements that are around. You don't want even nothing to go near it, to even bite it, or to just to trouble it. Because if you're in an area like mine, then you're going to have small creatures that will go there and trouble it. Or you have cats or dogs or um, some form of lizard who will go and rest on it. You just want to keep it out of all of these creatures and elements. Keep it out of the way. Now, majority of the times, what I do is to protect it, I place it in a waterproof box. And that waterproof box will keep it from the elements that it may be exposed to on the outside. Now, once I attach that, in this section here, where you have the display, numbers will start coming up. Numbers will start coming up. And the numbers that will come up will be, and some indication right here as well. If you notice you have three buttons, it has some indications as to what is active at that point in time. So if the sun is up and you have your panel in the sun, it will show that the panel is charging your battery. Now, the system that I set up for my fountain and my pond is, while the sun is charging the battery, it's also operating the pump. And while it is operating the pump, the battery is being charged by the sun. So the panel at that point is doing two things. It's running the pump and it's charging the battery. Now, when the sun goes down, the pump will continue to run because the battery now the charged battery will now take over. Understand? The charged battery itself will now take over. Now, when it comes on to you having the system where you want to run 110 volt, instead of putting the pump in the light bulb section, you would put an inverter. You would put an inverter in the light bulb section. However, you can't use these leads. You can't use these leads, and you really wouldn't use this charge controller. This charge controller is a 10 amp charge controller. You really want something that a charge controller that will be heavier than this if you're really running the inverter side of it. You really want something bigger than this. Probably in order to run a small light, you can probably use probably you can go up to 30 amp. You know, when you really think about it, even in your panel boxes, the breakers that you have, some of them are 20 amp, 30 amp. So you can even judge it by the breakers. And for those of you who the electrician will tell you to buy a breaker, and he will tell you which one to buy, you can use your judgment as to what type of charge controller you can buy, right? But this one is too small to run an inverter that you really need 110 volt. And this is a not that it will need it, the inverter that will power 110 appliances are probably light. Because remember now we're coming on to the silly season and some persons love their lights. It would be good if you could set up something like this to operate your lights. Probably you would have the battery, you'd have the battery and your inverter and your charge controller on the inside, probably on your veranda, and your panel on the outside on the roof so that it can charge all of the things that you have going on here. And then you would probably plug your what's it called again, your extension cord here, and lead it to your lights. So you see it can run that as well. So we need to probably consider that as well. Remember, we want to get rid of the light people as much as we can, but then We can do so incrementally and in small pieces. So we can use this as well to set up that type of thing. We're coming on now to the silly season where persons want lights and they love pretty lights. I would really suggest you buying the solar ones where you can just string them up and have they come with some little panels that you can hang somewhere else. So probably you can think about that, and then automatically when the time get dark, then the lights will chip in. So you can think of that as an option too. All right, now to show you how this is operated again. Now this is a 400-watt inverter, and this 400-watt inverter can power quite a number of things inside the home. If you had a fan, it can power it. And what I especially like about these inverter and the charge controller that is sold online as well is the fact that they come with USB connection. I'm not sure you see this one. See there? The USB connection. And it can charge your phones. It can probably charge your the power bank itself. You can get quite a number of things being charged out of this. So it will work for you. It will work. Now, to set up this is very easy. Now, remember I told you that you would have already had your panel attached to this to keep it charged. Now, these come with alligator clips that were already screwed on. Now, the thing is, these come color coded. And once again, these are the things that people burn up because they just don't understand. It has the connection. I remember once I told you that even a blind man could set it up. This may be a little bit more technical for the blind man. Why? Because it didn't come with the engraved positive and negative on it, and possibly that's a deficiency for this manufacturer because blind people need to be independent too, and during especially the ones that I know, they like their independence. They like to do things without your assistance. So it would be good and useful if it had the engraved indication on it. All right, so now we're going to set up this. Now we have the black connection being the negative, put it on, and the red connection being the positive, put it on. Now the thing is, you notice you don't hear anything. We're going to power on the inverter. See the light? See it? So this inverter is ready and powered, ready to receive your electrical plug to plug in here to power whatever it is that you need to do. You have, hi babes, thank you for coming to the live. Now you have some persons who babes is saying shout out to all smart. No, you have some persons who this part of it too is what they do burn up. And they burn it up because they just don't understand it as well. So you have to be careful. If for instance you're not too sure, sometimes what you can do is just write it down. Write it down that the red is the positive and the black is the negative. Just write it down. You can't go wrong with that. And then you can probably plug whatever it is that you want to power here. Now, without your battery being, let me turn it off. Without your battery being charged, then it really won't work. You will not get that sustenance out of your system if you really don't have that charge in your battery. You won't get it. And the battery will go down quickly, because remember, you're pulling. Remember, you're pulling in it. You're constantly pulling from the battery, and nothing is there to charge it back. It's just like you have the car. If the alternator is not working to charge that battery, then the car will constantly be pulling and pulling and pulling. And that's why sometimes when you start the car, the batteries are getting bad. It has that sound. It has that sound because what is happening, I don't care how the alternator is charging it, it's not being charged. Sometimes the alternator will charge it, but your battery is going down quicker than your alternator can charge it. And that is when probably one or two of the set. Thank you for the like, babes. That is when the battery itself is one or two of the cells are bad. You'll find that happening. So you can look out for things like these too. And remember, the used car batteries have uses. However, you need to be able to test, and also you need to also be mindful of there are various voltages for batteries. So you will have batteries that are 6 volts, you have batteries that are 12. This is a 12-volt one, and you have also 24. You can increase the voltage of your batteries. You can put two 6-volt batteries together and get a 12-volt. However, you have to know how to wire them. And you can put, now batteries have amperages. Let me see what this one is. This battery is 12 volts and 430 amps. I'm listening some other using solar here in the Philippines, big small panels, right? Persons are using panels or solar power right around the globe. I've seen recently someone had a panel, I think it's a 2 panels he had set up in his home, and that's what he uses to power a light. He didn't have any refrigerator, so he uses it to power the light for his home, and he had a microwave, so he used it for the microwave as well. He had things on it that he was using without the use of the electricity company, and he was quite proud. And there were persons who were singing his praise as well, asking him little questions. He was planning to go bigger. He was planning to go bigger in the future. And this is what I've been telling persons. You don't have to have a system that will run your entire home when you're starting. You can start small. Because to tell you the truth, these things that I have for my pond or my drip irrigation that I'm running solar, those things I set up even before I decided to go solar at home. Babes is saying, especially in the schools, it's so big there. Put in the top of covered court. I was so amazed watching them how to install. Trust me, it's a lovely thing to have. And I realize as well in the schools in my country, they tend to go solar, and it's really beneficial for them. Hi, Mom Presla Vlog. Thank you for coming to the live. And it's especially useful for the schools because the schools tend to have not as much light, so they use the light in the day, and especially the administrative offices, it's nice to use. But I find that most of the schools don't use the off-grid system. They use the grid tied system and sell back electricity to the power company in my country. So that one worked for them, and it will work for especially most business places. It's a good idea to have the one that is used for the power company or ads in the middle. Thank you for that. Right. So you have those persons as well who are going solar incrementally. Recently, someone asked me about it. However, my suggestion is those who want to go solar have to decide which solar option that they want to use. I can't decide for anyone. I can only tell you the type that they have. The system that we were talking about today was the off-grid type, where you use the batteries to get that additional power at night. Um, the system that each and everyone decide to use will be dependent on them. That's what will happen. It will be dependent on them and how they can cope with it, because the different types of system will require varied types of monies to begin with, and also it will also mean that you'll have to make some changes dependent on the system that you take. So that's what making that choice will do. It may mean also difference in money. It will mean difference in money. However, not everyone will go solar. Some persons will put things in place to enjoy that aspect of it by going solar incrementally, or just putting other things outside of what they use inside the home on that solar power. Because right around the yard on my outside, I do have only solar there. Hi, Future X. Thank you for coming to the live. Yes, I do have solar power there. However, for that solar power, it means that I don't have the power company operating anything out there at night. It is especially useful whenever we do have power cuts or power outages. Um, the place will be especially bright, and at times, because of that, I can't tell if power is gone, because I hardly use any lights inside at night. So having it on the outside is really calming and peaceful. Sometimes I'll go out there and sit and just watch a light or watch a moonlight. You just want to relax. So you just sit out there and relax. Sit out there, watch the lights and relax. It really works. It will work. Um, However, like I said, dependent on you, which one that you need. And persons nowadays, some of the business places that I've realized, even when you fly the drone and you should see on that screen that there are many business places that are going solar. Once they build the building, they set up the solar power on the roof. And you and I, you and I really don't know, or we really couldn't see it from where we are down below. We couldn't see it. We just sometimes we even wonder, I wonder how much that business place will or is paying for electricity, only to see that when you do fly the drones, you see the panels on the roof. I've seen it on the banks. So many persons are going on the solar power and we don't even know. Babes is saying, Smart, see you later. I'm going to school to vote. Okay, exercise your rights and thank you for coming. Right, so you have persons setting it up all over, all over because they want to get rid of the power company. So they set it up to just get that relief from the power company and to sustain themselves. And especially for the business places that operates during the day, it's especially useful. And when you really think about it, that is why, especially during the times when you have them using the excessive light during the holidays, they can do it because what? They're not paying for these lights. They're not paying for it. It's all solar powered. So sometimes we see things happening and we're wondering then, that light is going to be heavy. No, they have solar power going on up there. So they really don't miss it. They're really not paying a cent for it. And you too can set up your own little solar system. I like water features, and because I like water features and the pumps that I was getting, or the I like lights as well, I realized that it would cost me dearly to light up the outside of the home or to run the water feature out there without some assistance from the sun. So that is why I go that route to create little solar power system to run these individual things. And it has been working. The drip irrigation, if I didn't take off this panel, then um, it would have chip in come tomorrow morning with the drip irrigation. It would have started dripping. The charge controller as well. It's for the ponds. I like to use the charge controller for the ponds, and the charge controller as well is beneficial for charging the batteries. The thing is, the panels that I do have may at times cause, how must put it now, too much. You don't want excessive voltage to be going to your batteries. And these panels come in varied sizes, and the amps that it push will vary. So you need to ensure that you get the right panel for the right battery. However, sometimes that may not be possible. So you use a charge controller now to regulate all of that. And this charge controller is really a regulator for your batteries and for your system as well, to ensure that you're not getting more than the required amount of electricity or power to run whatever it is that you're running. And so it does for the system that you would set up inside the home as well. So like I say, we can set up little small pockets of system if we do understand how to set them up by just using simple things. I use car battery. You don't need a inverter depending on what you're running. You may not need an inverter, because for my ponds and my fountain, I don't need an inverter. I just use a charge controller, the battery, and the panel, and whatever it is that I'm powering. I just use it from the charge controller. I'm not running 110, so the inverter is not necessary. So you can set up little things like these. If you have problems or additional problems after me explaining this to you as to how to set it up, write it in the comments, after the vlog, write it there, and you will be able to get the assistance or the help that you need just to help you to set it up. And remember, it can't be used for running inside of the home because the system that you set up will be a small one, not the home one. I have not graduated to teaching you how to do the home one as yet. And for the home one, I would really advise you seek the professionals to do this for you. Just decide which one it is that you want. So now we have come to an end of another live stream, and I want to thank you all for your suggestions, your input, your questions, whatever it is, or your statements that you made on the live. Thank you for being here, and I hope it is beneficial to you. And for all who entered the live, wherever you are, have a good afternoon, good evening, or good night. And please stay safe and don't let conservation be a burden. Bye.